Welcome to This Podcast is Making Me Thirsty, the number one destination for Seinfeld fans. This is Two Up and Two Down. Here's our producer, Chris, to start us off.
All right, welcome back to another episode of Two Up and Two Down. Today we are going into Season 9 with The Slicer. And Chris, what's your first one?
Season 9, The Slicer, Cabin and Robin, another round of Two Up, Two Down. You got to give two positives, two negatives. Here we go. For me, listen, not a lot up, so I'm not going to overwhelm and steal it with one character. So I'm just going to give you the Kruger interview scene, okay, in the beginning there. It was a nice introduction to Kruger, did a nice job. I loved his line, George's going to be hired. He says, I don't care, we need someone. Love that, direct to the point. Obviously, it's an awful company. He's kind of setting the tone for that with this interview. And obviously, it's Costanza for crying out loud. So he got the job. So for me, that Kruger initial interview scene first up.
Yeah, I love that one. So great up there. Tony, over to you. What's your first up?
Yeah, Slicer Season 9, not one of my favorites. I don't have a lot of ups written down. He just took one, and I actually was going to use just Kruger as my up, as a general up, because I do like Kruger, but fair enough. I'm not even going to take another Kruger scene, though. I think I guess Kruger's in this scene, but my first up is when Kramer's the dermatologist. I mean, it's a tried and true Kramer. Just make him a doctor and let him go. When he says, I laugh when he says it. I do laugh. Male, mammal, like approximately 30 to 60 years of age, weight indeterminable. I mean, it's Kramer it's Kramer, right? It's Season 9. We got to laugh at something. It gets me. Just the way, Kramer just comes up with his stuff on the fly. It's got a little Fletch vibe to it to me, for some reason. Rita Secretary. Anywho, yeah. I mean, I'm digging deep for ups, people. I'm digging real deep, and that's the one I'm grabbing. Kramer, the whole interview in Kruger, because it's playing off Kruger too, which makes it even funnier, I think. So that's my first up.
Yeah, no, I love that Kramer scene too. So that's a good up in my opinion. Chris, back to you. Your second up, please.
I agree with that as well. Second up, I'm going to go with the, little corny lines, but the Marcia Cross, obviously of Melrose fame, with Jerry and talking about saving a life, and just the kid in Jerry, not realizing what she does, and is it anything like hitting a homer in softball? Because I hit a whopper last week. I mean, Tony's probably going to kill me for this one, these late Jerry lines, but it brought a little, I don't know, boyhood humor to something needed. So, again, it's a line. I'm not going crazy here, but always enjoyed that one. Thumbs up.
All right. Yeah, I agree with that one too. So, Tony, we're going to you. What's your second one?
I'm not going to kill you because I like that line too. Actually, I do love that Jerry line. Was anything like a home run in softball? And my second up is actually a one-liner too. I mean, when we talk in Season 9, we do this a lot. We talk about this a lot. If you're new to the program here, but I mean, you're pulling out lines that make you kind of chuckle. And another Kramer for me. I've cut slices so thin I couldn't even see them. I mean, that's my next up. I mean, that's where we're at on this episode. Is Kramer that particular line? And Elaine's like, how'd you know you cut it? And Kramer just assumed. I mean, we've talked about this before. As bad as 8 and 9 sometimes gets, Kramer stayed true to Kramer, maybe because he was always that corny and that crazy and that kind of cartoonish that these things they land better. And this one lands. I mean, it's a typical Kramer thing to say, like, I've cut slices so thin I couldn't even see them. Love that line. I do chuckle at it. That's my second up.
All right, very good. And speaking of one-liners, I love it when George, when he's talking about after the interview with Kruger and he's with Jerry at Monk's, he goes, I could go hog wild in there. That gets me all the time. I laugh all the time on that one. So I think that's a great one-liner. But so those are the two ups from each of you. Let's go with your downs. What's your first down, Chris?
I got a pretty full page of downs here. But I'm going to go with the last scene. I mean, talk about force. All three of them there giving Elaine meat through the door. What are they do? What are they? I mean, talk about the way to close a bad episode. And maybe I should have closed second down, but I just had a guy. I didn't want to forget this one. I mean, just sitting on the floor, giving her meat with the meat slicer there. Someone's got to explain that one to me. Yeah, I don't even remember it. Maybe because I never get that far again. I know this happens a lot, but I'm like, wow, that was a big miss. But even Tony's probably got plenty here. But bringing the slicer to Elaine's apartment, just sliced like 10 of them at Jerry's apartment. Bring it there. Why would he bring the slicer right to her door or the neighbor's door? Again, I guess that's supposed to be funny, or just they needed Kramer in those scenes. Whatever it was, the slicer at the apartment, whether it was that first scene to the three at the end, was just a debacle. So for me, that's the first down.
Tony, back to you. What's your first down?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of things there. First of all, O'Hara, you're right. I didn't write that down because I don't think I got that far. And if I did get that far, I had so many downs written down that I didn't even write it down because by the time I got to the ending, I had a list. So you're right about that. I mean, hit the nail on the head there. I mean, I'm going to go then. I have so many written down, but maybe I'll just piggyback in a way. I'm going to go to the beginning of the episode. The cold open. I don't remember this one. Speaking of not remembering things, I guess I just don't watch this episode. I mean, this episode, if you put it on today, I wouldn't get past the cold open. But Elaine's having a dream of them all in bed together. I mean, this is cold open at one of the worst I've ever seen. The whole I don't know, man. Like, it's like meta on top of like trying to be funny, also getting maybe an image of the four of them in bed together. So we all got that to fucking live off. I mean, everything about it. I mean, how many times has Seinfeld done some sort of dream sequence or something where it's been like not reality? Only one I could think of is the Cable, and that's Jerry getting shot with the FBI agent, and that was fucking real. That was Larry fucking Charles throwing that into a sitcom in like the 10th episode of the freaking show ever. We're all watching it like that seemed real, and that was weird, and that was quirky and cool and fun, and guys getting shot up. This dream sequence was just so patronizing to the audience. Like, let's put them all in bed together. Elaine doesn't know what's going on. Anyway, that's going to be my first down. I'm just going to piggyback just so we go start to finish. He ended it. I'm going to start it. That's my first down.
Yeah, I can see that, Tony, as being a down. So thanks. So Chris, back to you. What's your second one?
Yeah, listen, 32 million people watched this episode. I'm guessing they used that dream thing as a promo teaser, as they call it back in the day, to get people leaned in. But to your point, please, let's not. I have a bunch here, and I forgot I wrote this one down, and I got to tell you, it was one of my least favorite episodes ever, and they bring it back. Elaine dancing again to So Right, Take It. I mean, I'm glad that scene was only, 12 seconds. I could have restored again. I cringed. I totally forgot about that. I mean, we get it. Enough. Like, I don't know. Season 9, like, did they think we wanted Elaine dancing again? Was that the signs America was giving? I would love to ask her someday if she wanted to do that again, and who knows? It looks like it got cut short, but the Elaine dancing again, for me, as down as it gets, almost worse than the original. How about that?
Tony, what's your second down for this?
Couldn't agree more on that. I had that tied into one of my downs. I'm gonna piggyback. You used it, and you know what? It ruined Slow Ride for me. I mean, you think of Slow Ride, you think of Dazed and Confused. Actually, that's the song. That song is tied to Dazed and Confused, the movie. Now I always forget because again, I don't watch this episode very often. But when that came on, I was like, oh my god, same reaction O'Hara had. terrible. But unfortunately, I think they did think America wanted it back, and that's what this. We're seeing that bearing fruit on this podcast, where a lot of you guys are kind of calling us out on not liking these later episodes. But hopefully, you'll see the light sooner or later. But anywho, my second down is really just. It's kind of cheating because it's basically the whole episode, but I mean, it's just the Elaine storyline. I mean, just in general, and then tied into Kramer, the whole thing with the slicer. I mean, I still don't know what the hell happened in this episode. This reminds me of The Package, another one. These season 9 episodes, like, what was going on? The cat was not getting fed, and then at the end, did she get locked out of her own place? Is that what happened? Did she get locked out of the? I don't even know who got locked out of where. She's talking to a locksmith. So confused. Nothing was funny about it. To O'Hara's point, feeding food through the door. This is worse than the. We already got our dog barking. Now we got a cat meowing. Is that where we're at? They couldn't. I mean, just terrible Elaine storyline, and it dominated the episode. I mean, if you're going to have a bad Elaine storyline, it can't be the main theme here, because we're just bringing the whole thing down. And that's my second down for this one.
No, I hear you. So thank you guys for your ups and your downs. We're going to grades. And Chris, start us with your grade.
The slicer is an F. You mentioned Elaine. I mean, she's opening her mail with the slicer, the heels, okay? We didn't even mention... Oh, forget it. The potatoes joke, about Elaine's building. And again, Pink Cat fans are probably walking to apartments these days like, oh, it smells like potatoes, and they think they're hilarious. So that, George back and forth to the Photoshop, with the cartoon? Are you kidding me? And then, you mentioned callbacks. We mentioned the Elaine. What about the callback to Jobs when George didn't think he'd get the job, whatever, and he goes, oh, what about the Coast Guard? I could be a land guy. Like, it was a reference to, again, early, I could be a sports commentator, all that. I'll give a little nod there, because at least they gave a nod back to the early stuff. But, dude, stop bringing things back that we don't need. The whole thing. Summer of '89. By the way, Seinfeld started in '89. George didn't have that much hair, okay? Make it the summer of '87. Just, again, details. Larry David's all about the details, and you could see he was missing in this episode. So, end of the day, bad Jerry, bad Elaine, bad George, bad Kramer. Clean F, as they say.
No, excellent points there. So, an F. I can see it. So no problems here with that grade. So Tony, over to you. Do I see another F from you?
Yeah. I mean, I just had a thought and I forgot it. I was just ranting. I wanted to bring something back what he was talking about. Damn it, and I forgot it. All right, no big deal. Yes, the slicer is an F. It's a terrible episode. The '89 thing. That's what made. Yes, I wrote that down. I thought about Jerry. Seinfeld started then, so Jerry knew this story. There's no way this story is getting past Jerry. George is telling it as if it's a new story to Jerry. To Howard's point, make it '85. We know Jerry and George are talking about things in '89. The Seinfeld was going on then, so big miss there. I mean, that's not why it's an F. I mean, it's an F for everything O'Hara mentioned. It's an F because the slicer and Elaine and Kramer's storyline together, it reminds us of another episode that we can't stand with the whole Cinco de Mayo where they get together. This one's even worse. I mean, this is like twice as bad because it makes no sense. The slicing of the heel, the envelope, I totally agree. Both of those I wrote down as just dreadful. I mean, nothing saves this episode. Kruger, I get a chuckle out of here and there at the beginning, like O'Hara mentioned. I mean, and Kruger doesn't recognize George from 1989 till to 1998, whenever the hell this episode came out. I mean, come on. He doesn't look like a complete. He lost some hair. He didn't get plastic surgery on his face. I mean, enough is enough. The cartoon guy, I hated the 1 hour photo guy. We didn't even mention him. So dumb. I mean, I hate doing this because I love Kevin and Robin. But this is an F, 100%. The slicer, one of the worst you're going to see. Just skip it. And that's my grade.
All right. Well, there you have it, folks. F's all around. But hey, let us know if you agree, disagree. Leave a comment in our sections. But that wraps it up for this slicer, and we'll see everybody at the next one. Thanks.